Hello, y'all. I am making a quick life update. Um, and the thesis of this video is my mental health and well-being is more important than my productivity. And that's something that I've seen before and have resonated with, because sometimes I can be very hard on myself when it comes to not being the perfect employee, but I also have to be mindful of the contributing factors that may cause that. Like a huge thing is being in a toxic workplace. I've been in enough toxic workplaces where it's easier for me to recognize workplace abuse as it's happening, and that is something that I have fallen prey to. I understand that, like, my sunshine demeanor, believe it or not, well, I think you've seen it in my videos, especially when I had the pink hair. Like, I am very a sociable butterfly, and I like connecting with people. And sometimes, I don't know, that touches people in ways. Maybe it brings out the shadow work that they have to do, and they're not ready to confront that. So it's just easier to be mean to me or to, like, conspire against me. But I don't know. I'm very big on not feeding into things like that, because I just never want to stoop to that level. I never want, like, if it gets to a point where I need to be, like, documenting every little thing that happens, or, like, I can't problem solve verbally with people ever. Like, everything has to be, like, I just don't want to live like that. It's just not worth it to have a job like that to me. Like, I'll just go somewhere else, and I have enough life goals in mind that I want to do, that I'm not gonna allow myself to have to become this super guarded individual in order to maintain employment somewhere else. I'm just gonna leave. Like, it's not worth it. I'm not gonna change the foundation, the core of who I am as a person for any one job. Like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, there's this video that I've referenced before called I Release You, and I'll put that video in the description of this video, because I'm a huge fan of that video. I watch it so many times, and I watched it again recently. And the main thing that he says is, when you're dealing with difficult people, you know, just he talks about, different ways that you might have dealt with that person in the past. Like, it's talking about how to deal with a narcissist, but it works with just a difficult person as well. But he talks about ways you might have dealt with that person in the past that weren't successful, and then he offers up, things to do. He offers advice, but then also he, puts it in context of, like, putting perspective that hopefully you have a higher priority in life outside of dealing with this difficult person. And then some example is giving higher priority to your good reasoning. Like, I don't need to be arguing with this person who doesn't want to be convinced of anything. And then higher priority to, like, wanting to be a person known of love and not anger and fear. And then he gives so many other examples. But yeah, is learning, to remind yourself that there's a bigger picture of things outside of this one person you're having unpleasant interactions with. Like, that's just one very small aspect of your life. And I think it's easy, especially people with my history, to catastrophize, cast, make a catastrophize situations, and just reminding me, the whole focus on what I can't control. What I can't control is the values that I hold and the values I choose to live by, and using that as a standard for myself to push myself to continue to be better. And then I can control who I allow to be in my inner circle and who I allow to trust to do that. Because I had a conversation with one of my good friends, Bill, and he really pushed me. I really like that he pushes back on my ideas. And I was, going on this rant about, there are people in my who are being welcomed into my life through, someone I'm seeing. And it's just easier to not have to deal with that and not be bothered by that. Then he was just saying, we were just talking through that, and hold on, I'll get to that in a second. I just want to fully finish one thought that I have. Okay, let me write down conversation. Conversation with Bill will be a separate video, because that's my conversations with Bill are long. So I'll make that a separate video. But something that I do want to touch on today is going back to the toxic workplace. For me, I understand that I'm very privileged in the way that I know I add a lot of value as an employee, and I have, education and experiences in my favor that make me desirable. Like it wouldn't be too difficult for me to be employed somewhere else, but I do want to be, like, there's certain jobs that I really, I'd be mindful of how I apply for jobs. So like that is something that is that aligns with the type of work that I want to do. And I just get more and more wise when it comes to being selective about the work environments that I expose myself to, and making sure, again, they align with my goal. But like, I just don't want to deal with this level of toxicity, especially when I don't love the job enough. Like the job that I have, the parts that I love about it are the crisis intervention moments where I'm really having a conversation one-on-one, talking someone through difficult times. But the job that I have now is also very administrative in nature, and I don't do as well with that. Like I'm more boots to the ground type of person. So it makes it easier to detach from what's going on, because I don't know, it's not my dream job anyways. But something that makes me very sensitive to what I'm going through right now is that I understand that not everyone has the privilege that I do, and some people might be more stuck in the situation than I am. And okay, so the uncomfortable word of suicide. I've experienced passive suicidal ideation in the past, and it's turned active once, and I was very lucky to have someone in my life that, was able to physically restrain me, help me through that. But and I can honestly say I don't have that anymore. I thought passive suicidal ideation was something I was going to have to live with my whole entire life, and I don't experience that at all anymore. So for people who've experienced that the majority of their life, it is possible for that to go away. I mean, it's also possible that it is lifelong, and that's something that you're going to have to, always have coping strategies and management, to help, coping strategies in order to help manage it. But it's also possible that, like, it goes away. But regardless, it just breaks my heart that suicide is still a thing. It breaks I think of the moment right before someone fully commits to that act, and how dark of a place it requires someone to be in order to do that. Like, it's just so sad of a reality for me, and I've been near that. But when I get to those points, I know who to contact, and I know how to get out of it, or at least I know how to stay alive. I mean, and some people don't, and I understand there are a lot of different ways to cope with that reality for their loved ones, and there's like anger and all this ways that they can feel, but it doesn't take away from the fact that someone just died unnecessarily. Like, that's just such an unnecessary death, and it breaks my heart that it's still happening every single day, because someone didn't have the support that they needed. And it's not just, to blame anyone. Some people, they truly want to help their loved ones, but they just don't know how. And that's my higher priority. Like, whenever I get in situations like this at my workplace or anywhere, is I realize my mission in life is to help reduce suffering. It's not to be the best whatever job position I have now. Like if I lose this job, I'll safety plan around that or make a game plan around that. Not necessarily a safety plan, just a game plan. Like, okay, well, I'll just do this instead. But like, I'm working towards this bigger mission of helping reduce suffering. And the people who I'm working with are working on this mission to seek personal power and authority over others for a plethora of reasons. And that's how they want to live their life. That's fine. But I'm not going to take away from my mission to try to alter someone's life values or like to try to save other people who don't have any interest in understanding others. Or yeah, so I made another video before about like what my 3 key values that I want to hold true and return to and live by, and it's courage, compassion, and integrity. Why did I forget that one? Yeah, and if I ever fall short of that, just return to that, you know, filter my decisions of like that. And, you know, there will be stumbles and steps, but, you know, at least I have something to guide me so I'm not falling too far outside of whatever. So when making decisions in life, yeah, I hope to do that with those 3 things in mind. But the big thing in the videos to update others that like having workplace stress, especially if you're when feeling targeted, I'll put this back on myself because it's what I'm experiencing yet again. When being targeted in the workplace, it's just, it can feel like it's such a huge part of my life because of how much time I spend at work, but just reminding myself that it just feels that way when I allow it to be that way. But I'm also grateful for this experience. I'm grateful for everything that I've been through, and it's taken a long time for me to get to this point of my life of feeling this way, because I'm just thinking about who I was when I first started this job about a year ago and who I am now, and like who I was before, like handling what I'm going through now. Like I would have internalized a lot more than what I'm doing now. Like me now, Rihanna, Rabin. Sorry, I don't know why I said it that way. I admire the woman, but she made a comment that once you find inner peace, no one can take that from you. And I think I've 93% there, and even with that lacking 7%, I see what she means. Like it can't be taken from me. Like this outside stressors, it just doesn't bother me the way that it used to. Like I can shut it off when I'm not at work. Like I might talk about it with someone that I love, just to, you know, hear their perspective and learn from them, or, you know, yeah, just hear other people's ideas of what's going on, just so it's not so pigeonholed to what I'm experiencing. Like it's, you know, outside perspective as well. And then once that conversation is over, I can put it to bed and talk about something else. Like it doesn't just linger in my mind. It doesn't shake me to my core like it would have before. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful for everything that I've learned, you know, but it's just time to move on. And I'm happy that I've always been able to recognize that, but I'm able to embrace it more without guilt or shame. And that's something that I had struggled with previously. And yeah, just things continue to fall more and more into place for me. And I'm just very grateful for that. It's easier for me to spot trials and tribulations as opportunities and lessons, you know. Even like I feel like a dark hole of pain on the inside, but I know it's going to be worked through. I'm going to do EMDR therapy soon, and hopefully by the end of the year that'll be complete. It's just hard to not be excited about life right now. There's nothing that can really take away from my excitement of being alive, and it just, all that experience just fuels my passion for wanting to help other people. And sometimes I'm not the best at it because I have like this inner struggle of being a brat of like, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. That's not fair. But I make sure to have people in my life to help me push through that wall of like, it's okay. Like, we can work through this together, you know? Don't push yourself to do something before you're ready, but don't be lazy either. I think that's a good way to end it. Janelle's, stop being lazy and stop being a brat.